All right, we just saw The Skeleton Twins, and on this show, I take my friends, we go see a movie, we do a review in the car, and then we have a discussion. The review part is spoiler-free, and the discussion part may get into spoilers. So if you're on the fence and trying to decide if this is the movie for you, watch the first part. If you've already seen the movie, or just want to hear everything we have to say and don't care about spoilers, watch the whole thing. Skeleton Twins is a comedy/drama starring Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader, with Ty Burrell and Luke Wilson. And from the previews and for a lot of the movie, I felt like this was a movie that kind of lives or dies based on how well it's written under a really great cast, as to like how memorable it'll be or how much you'll really like it or not. And I felt like if this cast weren't involved in this movie, that I really just would have not ever gotten into it, but that these are people that I like to see on screen, and they do such a great job with the performances that it kind of makes up a little bit for it. I found the writing to be extremely melodramatic. It had its moments where it kind of worked. There were some sort of funny situations that it put together and some kind of funny conversations that it put together. But for the most part, it felt like there was a script there and they kind of let Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig kind of have at it as far as making it funnier, or as far as sort of taking it to the next step. Although I will say that I think Bill Hader's performance is really understated overall in the movie, which I really enjoyed. So it's interesting, like I would say from a performance standpoint, if you're a fan of the people that are in the movie, it's worth checking out. But I think you should be forewarned that the movie uses suicide to play with melodrama. It uses just kind of contrivances in the plot. I mean, it's not that it's unrealistic, it's just that it doesn't... You don't feel like there's anything really that resolved in the end of the movie. It's not that different from the beginning of the movie. So it's not one that I can like universally recommend, but I think if you're a fan of the people that are in it, and you don't mind the fact that there's a bunch of suicide attempts, which is kind of rough shit to watch sometimes, then you might want to check it out. What do you think?
I agree that some of it was rough to be brought up with, because it's like I have emotional hotspots over some of that kinds of thing in my own past. But having said that, like I did enjoy the movie, and I think that it was not so much that it was really extremely well written, but I thought that Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader both acted superbly, and that their chemistry is undeniable, and that we've seen Kristen Wiig do, like hint at the fact that she has a capacity for drama and that she's more than just a funny gal, and she definitely proved that in this movie. And Bill Hader, and Bill Hader playing, a gay man. We've seen that on Saturday Night Live in the Stefan character as overstated. And in this movie, he was extremely understated, as you said, and realistic. And it didn't seem at all like a lampooning at all. It was very believable and just good. And I thought that the main strength of the movie was like the on-screen chemistry, like, and how it wasn't, typical Hollywood romantic, love interest chemistry.
No.
That they really pulled off the sibling thing, like pretty well, like without overdoing it. And they could have made it really sappier based on the script, because the script went there and it did get melodramatic at points and all of that. But they kept making it believable for me and enjoyable. And I did laugh a lot, even though I didn't go into it thinking it was going to be just a hysterical, like, Bridesmaids, Anchorman type of movie that I'd just be laughing at all the way through.
No, but I mean, all the things, like the funniest points in the movie are in the trailer. They are. I mean, there wasn't like a huge surprise. Like, a lot of the things that happened that were funny were just longer in the movie than they were in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, I didn't watch the trailer, but I don't know if we're into spoiler territory yet or not. But the
But like the singing thing.
lip syncing thing,
That's in the
yeah.
trailer.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
that's
I
the
didn't-
funniest scene in the movie. And they do like almost the whole song basically.
Yeah. Bill Hader in that scene,
And
is
that's really
just
funny.
a
And
riot.
yeah, I mean this is an art house movie. It's not a Hollywood movie. It's not a mainstream movie. Anyway, that's our review of it. If that sounds like a good movie to you, go see it. Don't let us spoil anything about it. I mentioned the suicide thing in the non-spoiler part because I don't want people to watch the first half of this and say, oh, you sent me to see this funny Kristen Wiig Bill Hader movie, and
It's kind of an
I can't
exception to
handle-
the spoiler rule.
I can't handle
Yeah.
all of this like suicide crap going on in here. None of that stuff's particularly graphic. It's just I found it really sort of blackmail-y, where it's like the movie didn't really earn me to be. It didn't earn the feeling of tension or stress that it was able to get from that situation. It was more like, they have a fight and then someone tries to commit suicide and you're like, couldn't they have just talked this through? Couldn't that have been enough to like have this conversation? It feels very immature to me to like jump to suicide as that's the next logical step. It's like, well, everything's fucked. I'm going to commit suicide.
But tragically, though, that does happen. Like.
I get it. I understand that it does happen.
But it is theatrically or in a movie, it can come off as kind of a cheap shot, to do it repeatedly and.
To have 3 suicide attempts in a single movie is ridiculous. It's way too much. And to do it as the way that they start the movie to sort of get you into it and the way that they finish the movie, it's like I feel like we just went in a big circle and we got off at the beginning again. I don't feel like we accomplished anything in this movie.
It's kind of 3.5 suicide attempts too. There's one that's sort of iffy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It only further illustrates your point.
It's just every time the movie needed to be extra tense, or it was getting a little too
Getting a little too light and funny.
Yeah.
So now we gotta darken it up.
We're having a good time, even though these people are fighting, even though these people are arguing. They're still funny when they're arguing. So we got to make sure that the audience remembers that this is a serious movie. So we're gonna have a suicide attempt. I couldn't deal with it that many times. It was just too much. And beyond that point, I asked you this before we started rolling, but the question I kind of kept thinking in my head as I was watching it was, would I enjoy this movie if it were cast with unknown people? If I didn't know if I didn't know who Luke Wilson and Ty Burrell and Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader were. And I think I would like the movie considerably less if I didn't know those people, if I didn't already know that I would enjoy their performances or enjoy seeing them work off of each other. Watching for the cuts when Kristen Wiig obviously couldn't keep her shit because she's famous for losing it, especially around Bill Hader and around those guys. So.
How could you not? And he does say some outlandishly funny stuff in there too, where that was the thing where it was like, I didn't even realize Kristen Wiig was famous for that in the way that like Jimmy Fallon is, like, for like breaking up in a sketch or whatever.
Yeah.
But there were some lines that appeared to be improvised on Bill Hader's part, where as soon as he says it, my eyes just darted over to Kristen Wiig, and sure enough, her lip is kind of doing that, and then there's a smash cut. And, they're in the same scene, but obviously a different take,
Yeah.
But that, to me, like, that adds like humor to it. It kind of breaks the fourth wall, but it's still a thing that I'll laugh at in a movie.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, the casting is what gets this a bigger release than it just being a short, simple art house release.
yeah,
The Duplass brothers were executive producers on it, and that's kind of interesting. That they were supporting it, and that's probably how again how it got. Because most of the movie is casting. I mean, most of the expense of the movie is casting. It's not like they're doing crazy locations or anything like that with it. But
Yeah, there's no like chase scene.
but it is super important to get the casting right and to get the chemistry right, and I think they did a really good job, from that perspective. And I liked the characters, and I liked the writing. I just felt like it leaned on a crutch that it really didn't need to lean on. It didn't need to go there every time it needed to punch you in the gut.
Yeah, and that's really what it was doing by design. It was like making you really care about these characters, and then it's like, okay, now one of them's going to try to kill themselves, and that's the punch in the gut that occurs repeatedly throughout the film.
Yeah,
but yeah, I didn't dislike it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. It certainly could have been better. There's writing stuff that could have been better, but I think that the acting and like the chemistry, like I said, was superb.
Yeah, all the problems were with the writing. All the problems were with the writing for me. I liked everything else about it. So anyway, that is Skeleton Twins. If you like the way we do these reviews, please like us, subscribe, and check out all the written and video reviews at dalemaxfield.com. Thanks for watching.